There's got to be a better system for biking around with a coffee that could like spill. I suppose I could throw this in like the cup holder pocket of my backpack, but I don't know. I think it's quite understandable why that isn't the most optimal situation. So one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately has, you know, it's been, I mean, I've been thinking about this since I moved here, but I've been thinking about it a lot more lately. And what that thing is the question surrounding how can I be a good citizen, specifically towards like the homeless. You know, I see a lot of people who are homeless, or at least whether that's, you know, for a long time or temporarily so. And I see a lot of homeless people of varying degrees of in need, also of varying degrees of addiction, and also varying levels of aggression. And you know, there are many situations where I feel like there's nothing I can do, and then there's many situations where I really feel like you know, well, I feel like I could do something. I could be very helpful to them. And when it comes down to how much it would require of me and how much it would mean to them, there would be you know, not to make it transactional, but it would make sense to do something good if I could just find a way to be comfortable with that and to get over anything that would, you know, block the interaction from happening. And there's a lot of reasons why you know, one might want to not interact. I'm not here to say everybody ought to do something, but I do think that there are situations when we're kind of called to do something and to be helpful, or to, I don't know. I'm speaking very vaguely on something that is very nuanced. Today I ran into a guy named Mike who approached me while I was on my way to the supermarket, and you know, you could tell he was visibly, you know, you could tell he was living on the streets. And he was like, listen man, do you mind if I talk to you for a second? And I was like, yeah, sure man, what's up? I was in like a pretty cheerful mood this morning, and I was on my way to go pick up something for my wife at the supermarket, and he basically just said, long story short, you know, I don't need money. You know, I just he was very upfront. He was like, I just had a difficult night, and you know, I just would love it if it's not too much trouble if you could buy me some toilet paper and soap. And I was like, oh yeah, man, absolutely, like without any hesitation. And we started walking towards the supermarket together. I told him I was on my way to pick up something from the supermarket anyway, and he asked which one. And I was like, oh yeah. He was like, is it MetFresh? And I was like, yeah, MetFresh. So we both walked towards there, and we were like striking up conversation. And this guy was smart. I gotta be honest with you, like he was telling me about how he was like in a situation where like he got hit by a car, or got hit by a somebody on a scooter recently, which is funny because the only comment on my YouTube channel so far is about somebody commenting on how the scooters drive in New York. Yeah, so he got hit by a scooter, and apparently like he's, you know, he's like going through it, you know, all the lawyers and the justice system right now, because he's possibly owed around 60 grand, which is, you know, that's very helpful. I can imagine. You know, and he was talking about how he has some health issues because of that, but he wasn't giving me a sob story. He was just talking about what was on his mind, and we were going back and forth, and you know, I felt not uncomfortable at all talking to this dude and just sharing conversation this morning with him. And you know, he was older than me, but he felt like a young soul, you know. And I'm very sure he was a drug user, and still is. You know, I don't expect anything to change, but I was, you know, like, this is sort of the dream scenario when you're interacting with homeless people and you want to be a loving human being. Like, they don't ask you for anything unwholesome. All they ask for is something that would, you know, make them feel cleaner, you know. And that's beautiful to me. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. Not because I think that they're dirty, it's just that that basic necessity means a lot to them, or means enough at least for them to go up to me and ask for help. And I don't know, I mean, this is not about me feeling good. This is just about having a wholesome interaction with a human being. And, you know, that's sort of rare. It's rare enough for me to appreciate this kind of stuff. And it's sort of a long story, but I'll keep it short. You could tell that he had a bad sort of repertoire, or he had a bad rapport with the manager of the supermarket we were going to, and he warned me going in. And so there was he was like, you know, they might approach you and say that you know, you don't need to buy anything for me, that, you know, they're just worried that I might be taking advantage of you. And I was like, oh man, don't worry about it, I got you. And so I also asked him, you know, if he was hungry and if he wanted to pick up any food. So he picked up some juice, and just as he had predicted, as we were like getting ready to approach the cash register, the manager came up and was like, oh sir, like, you don't have to do what you're doing. And I was like, no worries, he's with me, is what I said. This sounds like a heroic story, but like, it was so simple. It's just like, he was with me. And the manager was instantly like, oh, okay. Like, it was totally fine as soon as I said that. And so we're at the cash register, and we're checking out. You know, I picked up just like a box of frozen pizza, and he, you know, I let Mike get whatever he wanted. It wasn't much. He was very like considerate, like, you know, which was like more than I expected. Like, I'm lucky enough where I can bike to work every day and take care of my family and save a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So this is doable for me. And he was very respectful. And we were talking, you know, as this nice lady was checking out all of our stuff, and you know, there was like a magazine with like some of the Frozen characters from Disney on it, and he was like, oh, do you have kids? You know, have you seen this movie? And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen it, but I don't have any kids. He's like, yeah, you know, I don't feel like Disney, you know, was pulling off the same magic that they used to be able to with that one. And then so we went into this whole conversation about how Disney has like been like kind of forgetting how to capture the magic of their original sort of movie making ability, animation ability, whatever you want to call it, which is a conversation I had yesterday with my coworker who works in media. And we were getting at it with the same level of intensity, or like just trying to really uncover like what happened with Disney. And like this cash register lady is just smiling. You know, I think she also was like one of the people who alerted her manager that Mike was in the store to begin with. You know, I don't know, it just was wholesome. And you see this stuff sometimes. I'm not gonna be, you know, I'm not gonna claim to be the only one who does this. Like I believe this stuff happens all the time. And I also understand why people feel unsafe and why people feel like they can't give. Like, I'm also with you. I'm one of those people as well. But like, that's why I kind of been wrestling with it lately, because I don't like not knowing what to do living here now that it's getting cold, and just seeing people camped out. And I'm freezing my ass off, and I've been outside for like 15 minutes, and who knows how long they've been outside, you know? And I don't know, I'm praying on this. It's tricky. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm just grateful for Mike today, because he's giving me more to sort of chew on some bigger questions that I've had. Not because he represents and resembles all people in need. Far from it. I think he's much more capable than many of us in some ways. Like, this guy is, you know, fighting for his say in court right now so that he can, you know, get some payment for all the operations he's had to have after his accident. I mean, listen, I'm just taking his word for it, but he seemed like a smart guy, and he seemed like somebody who really is trying to be considerate. But you know, it's tricky. I think this is it's a tough thing to be considerate about when, you know, we have these little short interactions with people on the subway, even people who aren't homeless. We don't know if somebody sitting directly next to us is hurting in a way that is more severe than something we could ever imagine. You know, we're all just kind of passing each other by. Okay, I feel like I'm pontificating here, but long story short, I'm grateful for today's interaction, and I'm going to continue meditating on this. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope to kind of maybe return to this subject at some point, but I wanted to just sort of put it in some sort of vlog medium. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really appreciate you. Take care.